it's Levon. Welcome back to my channel and to part 2 of Step by Step. In this episode, we are doing the Checkered Rose table. So this table started out as a free table that I got from Marketplace, and my inspiration was a wine glass. And last week we did the blending on the bottom of the table, and this week we're going to paint the top of the table. So I started out by covering the whole top of the table with barn red. I was going to choose muscadine wine because I was kind of going for an elegant yet whimsical feel, but you know what? I didn't have any muscadine wine open, and I had a whole jar of the barn red, so I picked the barn red. So there's with one coat. And then I love Dixie Belle paint so much that's dry. You can see that that's what they call a scratch coat. I just wanted you to see what coverage and pigment in this beautiful paint. So if you're ever worrying after you put a first coat on, what did I do? Then you can see the second coat makes it all better. Look at that coverage. Have you ever freaked out before when you put a first coat on, thinking you ruined it? Feel free to comment and let me know what your experiences are. And also if you've used Dixie Belle paint. So after that dries, I determine what the center of the table is, and I basically looked up an oval shape. I googled oval and then I just cut out that template because it had a dot in the middle, and so I just folded it in quarters and then lined it up with my middle and then just traced around it. Now I accidentally ended up getting it a little crooked, and that was okay with me after I did it because I thought it's going to be whimsical. So I just took a Sharpie and just traced around the outside. And then the hand painting begins. I took a flat artist brush and just went around the outside carefully and then filled it in. And this did require 2 coats to cover over the barn red. Do you like hand painting? I like to incorporate it into my designs. I like to use stencils and stamps, but I also like to add some extra personality. So this project took on a couple different ways, as you'll see. I'll tell you, you can't see what's going on in my mind, thank heavens. That's a little scary. But I changed my mind a couple times about some of the things that I was going to do on this piece. So originally I was going to do whimsical roses, and you'll see that changed. Also, the color of the edge of the table changed 3 times. So now I start to take some tape and just make 3 marks from the outside of that edge, because I want to do another oval around there. So I just keep picking up that tape and putting 3 layers of tape out from the center, and finally I just connect the dots. And again, it didn't have to be perfect because I knew I was going to be painting roses over these lines. So you can see right now the rim of the table is the barn red. So the line is complete. And then I painted the outside edge, and now it looks like we're going to Target. And note the rim of the table is still the barn red. Wasn't loving it, but I knew that there were going to be roses on it. So now I bring in a straight edge, and I again find the center, and now I'm going to do a diamond pattern. And what I did was just used that straight edge and just drew on either side of it and just continued my grid. And now the time consuming but to me rewarding and relaxing part begins. This might be frustrating to some people, but I enjoy doing it. So I'm just taking a very small, actually I'm taking 2 brushes, and I outline the outside of each of the diamonds, and then I come back in with a flat brush. Now these brushes, believe it or not, I got at the Dollar Tree. I did these wine glass kits that I told you about, and I thought, well, I'll try these because I've gotten brushes there before that, I wouldn't recommend. But these ones were actually really just perfect for this because they're a little stiff, so they really just give me exactly what I need. So this is, like I said, time-consuming, painstaking process. It's not for everyone, but I think it's definitely a cool look when it's all complete. How about you? Have you ever tried anything like this? Is this something you enjoy doing, or something that you would say no way? And also, do you like the look of the finished product? That's important too. Because I think that's part of it. If you like that look, then you're willing to do what it takes to get that look. And there's ways you could do this probably with tape, but I wanted a whimsical hand-painted look. So you'll see that that's really what I got. That's what I was going for. So once the middle was the most time-consuming part, the outside edge went pretty quickly. So while you're watching, not only would I love it if you would comment, but if you like this video, if you would please give it a like, thumbs up, and share it if you would with anybody that you think might find it to be interesting. And also, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would really love it if you did that. Really trying to grow my channel, and everything helps. Checkers, anyone? Not until my paint dries. Okay, now note that the side of the table, or the rim of the table, went to the drop cloth color. Okay, so now it's kind of looking like something from Alabama, Crimson Tide. While that was drying, I went back in and I took my big wax brush and did a clear coat of wax on the bottom. And I also used some black wax and did some distressing. So now I am taking a stamp. This happens to be an Iron Orchid Designs stamp. Originally I was going to use their Painterly Roses stamp, and I couldn't find all of my pieces. So I went with a different one. I think it's called Rose Toile. So I just used 2 of the smaller elements and just continued to stamp. Now, with quarantine, half my stuff was at home and half of it was at the store. So I didn't have my brayers. That might have made things a little bit easier. But I just took a brush and just went over each stamp before I made the impression. So with stamping, once you get the paint or the ink, you can use ink for this too. It makes a clearer impression if you do. But I've always used paint. But once you lay it down, you just want to put some pressure on it and then lift it straight up. You just, once you lay it down, you don't want to shift it. You just want to keep it committed. So I kind of go back and forth. Sometimes I'll flip it. Sometimes I'll do 2 of those in a row and then go back to the other one. I didn't want it to be exact or perfect pattern. I just wanted to do it in a random fashion and make it really, as I said, whimsical. So just lay it down, apply a little light pressure, and pick it up. So I continue around the inner circle and around the outer circle until I finish that. This process really didn't take long at all. And there you go, that's what it looks like. Now I could have left well enough alone because I thought that looked kind of cool. You know, there's a lot of really cool detail in that. But I didn't want to. I wanted to add some color to it. So the first thing I do is take kudzu and a small artist brush, and I just go in and very lightly color in some of the leaves. I didn't want to lose all those lines that are in there, so I really just went at it with a very light hand and just barely painted. And then I came in a second time, so I used kudzu the first time, and now I came in with mint julep and did the center of the leaves and around some of the edges just to give a little dimension and depth to the color and just accent it a little bit. That step I think really made a difference in the finished look. Okay, then I used Moonshine Metallics in Rosé, and the ones that were mainly on top of the lighter color, I kind of painted like a circular, kind of a blob shape over the top. And then the ones that were on the barn red, I just kind of took my brush and just made some detail marks on the roses. I did end up coming in and used the drop cloth and made some detail over the blob shapes. And that made a big difference to me. So even though I stamped, I am still doing some hand painting here. And I'm just putting some detail in it. And it's one of those things that doesn't look like much when you do it, but when it's all done, I think the finished product makes a big difference. It makes an impact. So then when that was dry, I did come back in and note the rim again changed. This time I used the caviar color, and now I'm using some clear wax on the top. I did lightly sand it too before I did that because I really wanted that distressed hand painted look. So now I'm just doing some wax, and I did go around the edges too with a little bit of dark wax too. Barely noticeable, but just something just to frame it up just a little bit. So there's what it looks like in the completion, and I staged it and took it outside, took some pictures with it, of course in the middle of the sun, so you can see the shadows pretty good, but I love my brick wall for staging. And there's a whimsical rose that's for sale in our shop from Sister Signs and such. I thank you so much for watching this week, and I hope you come back every Saturday at 4 and on Tuesdays at 8. And please visit the website lavintagedecor.company, and on Facebook we're LaVintage Decor Altoona, and on Instagram we're just LaVintage Decor. Stay well.